doing that. And we're going to have both of these looping. So what we're going to do is we're just going to click here and drag this up. And we're going to click on this little tab here. And as you can see, we've got this thing called Graph Editor. Now, I know the Graph Editor from the looks here looks a bit complicated, but it's quite simple once you understand it, and it is very helpful and very important for such things. Take this cube for example. If I go back to the timeline and I play, you can see that it slowly moves, as you can see, and then it slows down at the ends and gets its speed in between the frames. This is because in the Graph Editor you can see there are a curve. What this curve means is it starts slowly and then it moves upwards, and that's the speed that it goes, and then it slows down here, then it speeds up again here, and then it slows to a stop, which is why it's a flat line, kind of like a heartbeat in a hospital. That is so dark. But we want this to continuously move back and forward. To do this, we go to channel and you go to extrapolation mode. And here we got make cyclic. If I click there, as you can see, it's kind of like an audio wave. Now, if I go down to here and back to timeline and then press play, as you can see, the cube is moving in a loop, and it slows in and out all the time. But the helicopter blades are not spinning, so we got to do the same. So if we click on our rotor blades, go back to our Graph Editor and do the same thing. We go to our channel, extrapolation mode, and make cycle. Go back to here to our timeline and press play. As you can see, it spins. But the problem is, if you look at the blades, it kind of looks like it's getting stopped by something or hitting something. The reason it's doing that is because, like the cube, it is curved to slow in and slow out, and that is a problem. To change that, you go back into your Graph Editor, and then you go to key, and then you go to interpolation mode, and as you can see, we have all of this, even that you can select. As a helicopter blade that is continuously rotating at the same speed, you have to select linear. And if you can see from the linear, if we spin it now, you can see the blades are now rotating at a steady and continuous speed. As I said earlier, the power of the Graph Editor is very good, very important. They use this for certain things. For if a continuous scene where a car is driving, they would generally use a linear for the wheels, because if you're going at a steady speed, you ain't going to see a slowdown. Now, I did say I was going to do a shaky camera effect. The best way to do a shaky camera effect is if we just go and click on our camera. Right click your camera. We are going to come, if you press this, well, let's just say this. If you press the 0 key in your number pad, it puts you into your camera view. That is what we need to do. But first, we need to position our camera. You could use the same ways as you do with moving objects. But if you want a position, you can do it many ways. If I go in like this and then press the N key, I can go and click here, which says lock camera to view. That means that when I move my scene like so, you can see that my camera moves with it. You could do it like that, but I'm going to deselect that for now. There's other ways you can do it, like if I was to put it here, you can press Control Alt 0, and that also puts your camera to where you are facing. Extremely handy. So, if you can see our scene, if we play, you can see our object moving. What we are going to do is we're going to animate our camera. It's the same as animating our object. You either can press the I key and insert a keyframe on any of these, or right click on this. But because of all this complication of numbers here, we are just going to use the I key, and we're going on location, like so. Now we are going to make this entire scene go to at least 96 frames per second, or 96 frames. So it plays at about 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds. This is a 4-second long video. But we're going to also change our end to 96. And now we are going to move our camera by pressing the G key, the Y key, and we're just going to move it like so, like there. And we're going to press I and location. So we got this movement. Our camera is also linear. Well, not linear, but it's got a curve, so it's also a slow in, slow out. Slow in, slow out is a principal term for animation. It is written up in a book from Disney Studios. It was written by Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston. It's called The Illusion of Life, Disney Animation. They give you the 12 principles of animation. I will make a video on this 12 principle of animations in the near future to help animators have a better understanding. But for now, if I press play, you can see our camera moving, but the camera isn't shaking. To shake our camera, we are going to go back into the graph editor. So if we go into the graph editor now, this is our camera shot. You can see this curve, which is the slow in, slow out, or ease in, ease out. To make this shake, we're going to have to go down to our location here. But even that don't work. Reasons being because to make your camera shake, you need rotation. To get a rotation, we are going to have to go back into our timeline. Go back to the first frame. Press the I. And go to location, rotation and scale. Then we're going to go back to 96. And we're going to do the same for here. Like so. Now if we go back into our graph editor, we now have this. And we got all our stuff. Let's go on to RX first. As you can see, because we got our keys, we're going to start with the x-axis first. So we've got our x-axis selected. It doesn't look like it's selected on my screen, but that is because of my user interface color scheme. But it is selected. If I press the N key here, we have our active F curve, which is this. And we got which says here Bezier, which is that ease in, ease out principle of animation. Let me have a bit of Coke.